Hello, my loves. Welcome back to the It Girl Mindset. Today we're talking about how to actually stick to your New Year's resolutions, okay? Before we dive into it today, I just want to say, I know there's so much going on right now on everyone's social media that's like reset, rebrand, okay? Obviously, I'm one of those people. I just want to say there are seasons for everything, right? For me, I love harnessing this new year energy. It feels good for me right now. But if you're one of those people where you're like, okay, I don't really feel like I need to change my whole life right this second, that's okay too, right? I always talk about, setting goals and rebranding yourself is all about becoming closer to your authentic self. And if your authentic self is telling you, hey, let's pause. Let's not necessarily grind, hustle, repeat which that's not even how I live my life. But if you're feeling so overwhelmed by all of these resets and rebrands and all the things, it's okay to listen to yourself and be like, okay, this actually isn't feeling in alignment with my authenticity right now. I encourage you to just pause and enjoy and just live your life, okay? So I just wanted to say that before, but if you are feeling like you're ready to lock in, like I am, then this episode is going to be amazing for you. Also, even if you're not feeling like you want to grind, hustle, repeat, I really live by something called soft girl discipline, which is we're locking in, but we're doing it in a way that is going to feel good for us, where we're not going to overextend ourselves and burn ourselves out, right? That's not what this is about. It's really about making lifestyle changes and small tweaks so you can enjoy your life on top of reaching your goals, okay? And I'm going to go through 8 different habits and things that are really going to help you actually stick to your New Year's resolution and your New Year's goals. I thought this would be perfect timing to come out right before New Year's, so you can actually use this to plan out all of your goals and, again, make sure they're in alignment, because I know it's so easy to be like, cool, I'm going to change everything in my life. I'm going to change how I dress. I'm going to change my hair. I'm going to change my habits. I'm going to change my nutrition. And look, if we try to change everything at once, we're going to end up changing nothing. And so again, that's why I really like to talk about soft girl discipline and leaning into your authenticity, because if you're being authentic to yourself, it's going to be easy to stick to things, okay? Which we will get into all of that. I'm getting ahead of myself. So without further ado, let's get into today's episode. Welcome to the It Girl Mindset, where I help you step into the next level version of yourself by mastering your mindset, manifesting your deepest desires, and connecting deeply with your body. It's about becoming the most authentic, radiant, unapologetic, and unbothered version of yourself. Together, we're going to chat about how to unlock your true potential and create a life that feels as good as it looks. If you're ready to become the healthiest, hottest, and most abundant version of yourself, you're in the perfect place. Let's get into it. That honestly kind of brings me into number 1. And again, I'm going to repeat this over and over again because I think it is the most important things when you're setting goals. But number 1 is to make sure your goals are authentically for you, and that you're okay with the lifestyle that it takes to reach that goal. Here's what I mean. So 1, if it's not authentic to you, it's going to feel really out of alignment. It's going to feel really hard to stick to, okay? And also with the lifestyle, let's just say you have a dream body goal. If you're still maybe in college and partying and don't want to give up the whole party drinking scene to live a healthy lifestyle, you need to be okay with the fact that you're probably not going to reach your goals as quickly, or maybe get to that dream body type if you continue with having an unhealthy lifestyle, right? Maybe you want to be an entrepreneur, but you don't necessarily like having to make your own schedule, right? So that's what I mean by making sure that it's authentic to you, that you would enjoy the actual lifestyle of that thing. I think about this a lot with content creation, because content creation in general looks very glamorous, right? Your girls are going on brand trips and they're, just posting day in the life. But what you don't see is the constant editing videos. You don't see, maybe a million takes, right? Maybe you don't see the behind the scenes of planning content, right? So again, I just want you to, just make sure it's in alignment, because if it's in alignment, it's going to flow. if you set a goal and it's very out of alignment for you, it's gonna feel like I don't know, this image that just popped in my head, like pushing a boulder up a rock rather than kind of like flowing down a river, right? It's just gonna be so much harder. And honestly, I know I've talked about this a lot, but I've learned the hard way so many times that when I go against my authenticity and alignment, it's really, really hard. Everything feels hard when you're out of alignment. So, and even sometimes if it feels like, oh, this doesn't make sense, like, how is this possible for me to be going this direction? I promise you, if it's in your mind, it's there for a reason. And once you actually just accept that and move on with it, it's going to make your life a whole lot easier. Even for me with drinking, I knew I wanted to stop drinking for a long time, but I I resisted it for a really long time. And finally, when I made that tough decision to finally be like, no, okay, this is not working. This is so out of alignment. It makes me feel like shit. And I went down that path. Everything in my life got so much easier. Okay. So, and again, you have to do it for the right reasons. When I was feeling like I had to stop drinking, not because I wanted to, but I felt like I should, quote unquote, it was really challenging for me to stop drinking. But when I made the decision from a place of authenticity, knowing that, no, this is actually what I really want, it was so fucking easy for me. Okay. So I hope you're really understanding the difference between the two. Okay. Number 2 is we are leaning into integrity. Okay. We're becoming the girls who stick to her word. Okay. No matter what. So the definition of integrity is the quality of being honest, ethical, and consistent in your actions, values, and principles, even when no one's watching. Okay. At its core, integrity means doing the right things, doing the right thing, not the convenient thing, keeping your word and following through, acting in alignment with your values, not just your emotions or circumstances, being the same person privately that you are publicly. Okay. I actually took a course maybe a year ago, and this was my first course that I ever took with my mentor, Becca, and we were talking about becoming a solid woman. And one of the core values was integrity. And I honestly felt like I got smacked in the face because I think I had tried to convince myself that I was someone who had a lot of integrity, but I think underneath I really did not have as much integrity as I thought that I did. Example, I was a health and fitness coach, but I was like partying more than I felt like was in alignment. I also wasn't really going to the gym. I also, wasn't necessarily listening to my hunger and fullness cues. So there was all these things where it's like I had convinced myself that I was integrous. Is that even a word? I don't know. I was convincing myself that I was someone who had integrity, but underneath I really didn't. So again, we this year are doing the things we say we're going to do. Okay? And that sounds a lot easier than it actually is. But again, if you become someone who has integrity, you are going to be able to stick to your New Year's resolutions, your New Year's goals so much easier because you are able to kind of put your blinders on and you're like, I don't care what other people think of me or my people-pleasing tendencies. I'm going to do what I say I'm going to do, even if it disappoints people. Okay? Okay, number 3 is emotions versus outcomes. So I wanted to talk about this because when you're setting goals, there are emotions and there are outcomes. So emotions are how you want to feel. Okay, maybe that's confident. Maybe that's, free. Maybe that's, abundant, whatever it may be. Those are kind of states and emotions. Outcomes are actual specific goals. So I want to lose 15 pounds, right? I want to make $20,000 a month. I want to get promoted in 3 months, right? Notice how these are actual numerical values attached to it. They are both really important in their own way. Emotions are really important because what you can do to actually help you set goals, right? If you don't necessarily have a specific number or a specific outcome that you want, that's fine. But you need to get crystal clear on what it looks like when you reach that goal. Because again, emotions, if you're like, I want to feel confident, that's really hard to measure unless you're very specific about that emotion, right? Because you can actually feel any emotion that you want at this very moment. Even if you are not at your goal weight, you can still choose to feel confident because it's a feeling and you're actually in control of your feelings and emotions. I know sometimes it feels like we aren't, but that comes with practice and certain tools that you can use to actually start feeling these emotions. And then an outcome is a more specific, okay? I like to use both of these when I'm setting a goal. So let's just say I want to have 30K downloads on a podcast episode, okay? That's a numerical goal. I'm manifesting that for myself because it's something I can't share, but I'm manifesting that for myself. 30K downloads on a single episode. That's the outcome. How is that going to make me feel, right? I'm going to feel free. I'm going to feel confident. I'm going to feel like a leader, okay? Now, if I just said I want to feel like a leader, I want to feel confident, I can feel those right now, right? I can feel those emotions right now, and that's actually going to help me get that next level and reach that 30K downloads in a single episode, okay? So I wanted to separate the two so you could really, again, see the difference between the two, but also see how they can work together. And I think it makes your goal even more powerful when you set an outcome, but also an emotion, because you can start feeling the emotion right now, which is going to help you in turn reach those goals, okay? So even if you had a body goal, right? And you want to feel confident, and maybe you also want to trust yourself, you want to have that feeling of trust or integrity, whatever it may be, you can start feeling those emotions now, and that's going to actually help you show up to reach your goals, okay? Because if you're someone who's confident and someone who trusts herself and is someone who has a lot of integrity, you bet your ass you're going to go to the gym. You bet your ass you're going to choose to eat a healthy meal at home versus go out to eat. I love using these in tandem. And if you want to take it even a layer deeper, when you set your goal, you can ask yourself, what will you feel? What will you see? And what will you hear? That really allows you to visualize your goal already happening. When you actually see, hear, and feel what your goal is, it allows you to visualize it, but it makes it more real in your brain. And remember, your brain doesn't know the difference between real or imagined. And so once you actually give yourself that gift in your brain of, see, look, I'm getting so specific on when I reach my dream body, whatever it may be, when I hit 20K months, when I hit a 30K download on a single podcast episode, I'm going to see, hear, and feel, okay? Maybe for me, my podcast, I'm going to see 30K downloads on my Spotify dashboard analytics. I'm going to hear my boyfriend celebrating me, saying congratulations. I'm going to feel really prideful. That's the word that came to me, okay? But even now, I have such a more clear picture in my brain of what that's actually going to feel like once I reach that goal. Okay, so next is number 4, which is to set your core values and or word for the year. Okay, I've actually set a word for the year every single year, and I just, intentions are very powerful. So just with whatever word you choose for the year, be very intentional, okay? Because your words really do matter. I remember 2023, my year was, this is the first year I ever did it, and it was authenticity. I really learned a lot about myself that year and really got closer and closer to my authentic self. But also that was like a year 7 for me, which is in numerology, a very challenging year. A year 7 is a cycle of introspection, healing, and inner growth, letting go of illusions or old identities, trusting intuition over logic. Yeah, so I had set that intention of authenticity as in the same year that it was year 7 for me personally. You have a personal year and then there's a collective year. Yeah, and this year's a year 9 for me. So anyways, be very specific be very intentional. Don't just set a word for the year and just be like, yeah, whatever. Actually take the time to think about what you want this year to focus on. Because again, when you're setting an intention, you're putting out into the world what you want to happen, what you want to learn, what you want to focus on, and the universe will respond, okay? Also, I love a word of the year, but I also love core values. I actually was working on this morning. What your core values are, because your core values dictate how you show up, okay? If one of your core values is health and fitness, you're gonna actually prioritize health and fitness over other things. If one of your core values is, family, you're gonna prioritize that over other things. So set about 3 to 5 core values so you can really just, again, intend and put out into the world what you're going to focus on, okay? I wouldn't do more than 5. Even 5 can be kind of a lot. And if you're like, I have no idea what I want my core values to be, again, think about your goals, think about your intentions, and then go ahead and even put into ChatGPT. You could be like, give me a list of core values, just a giant list of them, and then you can kind of feel in your body if there's one that's like, oh yes, this is definitely it. This is the one that I really want to focus on. Number 5 is creating your goals, okay? I know we're kind of going in a weird order here, but all of these come into play. When you set goals, it's really important to start with yearly goals and then go into Q1 and then monthly and then weekly. So you can kind of work backwards. I know we kind of talked about this in the last episode, I believe, but when you're setting goals, work backwards. Look at a yearly goal. You can even do 5 years, 1 year, the next 6 months, 1 month, and then this week. When you break it down like that, it becomes much more attainable because if I think about, maybe I want to hit 10K, maybe I want to hit 10K followers on TikTok and I don't have that many right now. I'm like, okay, how am I going to make that happen? But if I can work backwards and be like, okay, this is all the way back to what I need to do today in order to reach that goal, right? It becomes so much easier and so much more manageable because our goals are not built in just thinking about our goals and then hoping they'll happen, right? It takes aligned action, but it also takes really small, consistent daily habits to actually make that happen. And the only way you're going to figure out what those habits actually are is if you work backwards. And again, that's how you're going to actually stick to them, is if you make them attainable and if you make them in alignment. Okay, number 6 is mindset tools. You guys know this is the It Girl mindset. The best way to actually stick with your New Year's resolutions and your new goals is to actually do the mindset work to be able to show up and follow through, right? I have so many different mindset tools that I use. So Activations is one of the mindset tools that I love. It's an app. It really is just a lot of just, I guess, motivational manifestation, affirmations and stuff like that. I like to listen to them on walks. I listen to them in the shower. I listen to them while I'm cooking, even at the grocery store. Okay, there's so many times that you can put those on. So that's one of my favorite things. Also, I feel like this is so underrated. And I know I've talked about this before, but just noticing your inner voice. What is your inner voice saying to you? Do you notice her more constantly being super nice and encouraging to yourself? Or do you find your inner voice is really negative and mean and just kind of tearing yourself down? When you start to just rewire your thoughts and really just notice your inner voice, you're able to actually shift that even better. When you become your own biggest cheerleader, life gets so much easier. Your goals get so much easier. You have more compassion for yourself. And when you have more compassion for yourself, you actually start to show up more and better because you give yourself grace on the days when you don't maybe feel your best, which those days are always a slingshot, in my opinion, because you have to be able to allow yourself to rest and give yourself compassion on the hard days in order to propel yourself forward. Because if you're resting, but you're being negative to yourself and telling yourself you're not good enough, you're not worthy of your goals because you're lazy or XYZ, the spirals that we go down, you're not actually resting. You're actually putting your nervous system in fight or flight. So if you can actually just allow yourself to be like, okay, I'm going to give myself compassion today. I'm going to rest. It's that slingshot. The next day, you are going to feel so much better. You're going to have so much more energy and you're going to be able to crush your goals. Another mindset tool that it's kind of a mind-body tool, which is breath work. So I work with my mentor one-to-one. She also has a group program called Body Language where she does breath work sessions 2 times a month. It's really, really powerful if you're looking to get into it. Also, her playlists are so fire. So just a side note, breathwork has drastically changed my life and it has allowed me to regulate my nervous system, get out of my head and into my body. And it's also just allowed me to see and connect with my intuition on a really deep level. I question myself a lot and I overthink and spiral a lot. And so during these breathwork sessions, it allows me to really trust what comes through in those sessions. So yeah, I know that's not technically just mindset, but I do feel like it's really been powerful for me to actually stick to my goals. Again, become someone who has a regulated nervous system, sticks to her word, is someone who really is someone who lives by one of her core values being integrity, right? And I owe a lot of that to being able to go deep into these breathwork sessions and learn so much about myself and learn about not only my current self, but also my future self. So it's been really, really powerful for me. EFT tapping is also a tool that I use often. I know it feels really weird if you're not familiar. EFT tapping, you're essentially tapping on certain parts of your body. They're pressure points on your body, and it allows your body to regulate. And again, I know this is more body, but this is more of a body tool. But when you do that, your mind slows down, because if you're overthinking and spiraling and you're like, oh, let me just sit down and close my eyes and meditate, it's not going to work. Your mind's going to be going in a million miles an hour. Well, sometimes our mind needs to do that to be able to calm it. I like to add EFT tapping to calm my actual body, so then my mind can go ahead and calm down too. Even if I know there's like, you see all these crazy like tapping everywhere, even if you just want to like tap on your chin or tap on your chest right here while you're saying some affirmations, or maybe even leaning into an uncomfortable feeling, like if you're feeling jealous of someone who already has something that you want, you can kind of like tap through that emotion, allow yourself to actually feel it. Because again, if we're just stuffing things down, this is a random tangent, it's going to come out eventually, and it's probably going to come out in a way that you don't want to. So you might as well process the emotion now. Also, processing your emotions as they come up is just going to help you be able to stick to your goals even more, because when you stuff things down, you're holding things in. But when you allow yourself to just process that emotion in whatever capacity, what I believe to be true is that also allows you to show up for yourself more, no matter what the circumstances are. Because I used to be someone who, even podcasting has been such a good learning lesson for me. Like if I'm going through something and I feel not good, but I know I need to show up in podcasts. Before I had a podcast, I don't think I had the capacity to like show up when I wasn't feeling good, or if I got into a fight, or if I got jealous, or whatever it may be, like all these life things that we go through. But now I've really learned to deal with my emotions. So even if I don't necessarily feel amazing, I trust myself and know that I'm someone who shows up no matter what. And you guys probably never know. I know sometimes I talk about it and I try to be as honest as possible, but we all have things that are going on in our lives, and the more that you can process your emotions actually allows you to show up in whatever capacity that you need to even more. Number 7, Notion dashboard. Okay. Plan everything out. Write down your goals, okay? Also, this is another random mindset tool, going back to number 6 for half a second. Write down your goals every morning. I used to do this every single morning, and honestly, I reached goals really fast. I probably should start doing this again, but I would do a journaling. It's 1 page of journaling every single morning. I would do 3 to 5 things that I'm grateful for, and then I would write 3 to 5 affirmations that I need to hear right now, depending on what I need to do that day. So if I had to podcast, I would, write down, I'm a confident podcast host, right? Like I would use whatever I needed that day and write down affirmations that go along with it. I would kind of just let my intuition say, okay, maybe I had a heavy content day and it's like, okay, I'm confident on camera, or, my voice is powerful and people pay attention when I talk, or, whatever it may be. So the first 2 sections of the gratitude and the affirmations, those change every single day based on what you're feeling. And then the last part is your goals, and 3 to 5 goals, whatever it may be, writing them down every single day. So you're focusing on them. You're actually showing your brain, look, these are what my goals are. Help me focus on this. Help me find opportunities to make this happen. That's why, your reticular activating system, we talk about this a lot, but what you focus on grows. So if you're writing down your goals every single morning, your brain is like, you're training your brain to look for opportunities to actually reach those goals. That's why you write them down every single morning can be so powerful to actually help you, again, not only stick to them, but actually reach them faster, because you're telling your brain what to focus on. So that last section of your goals, those do not change day to day. Of course, like if you need to change a goal, then that would end up changing. But for the most part, you don't change a goal until you reach it. Again, unless something feels out of alignment with your authenticity, then of course we would adjust that goal, which is totally fine as well. Again, kind of back to the dashboard. If you have a health and fitness goal, I highly recommend checking out my free Notion dashboard below. You've got mindset tools in there. You've got a calendar to plan out your workouts. There's even a whole bunch of Pilates and strength workouts in there as well. And it's also just really super cute. So you can track your progress. Again, that's if you have a health and fitness goal. It's not necessarily built for other goals, but plan everything out. There's so many free Notion dashboards. There's also a free plan of Notion. So I highly recommend just going in, typing in like free goal setting dashboard or something like that. Or you can even pay $5 to a creator who probably made their own Notion dashboard. But having everything just laid out in an easy place that you can see and look over and assess is going to be really, really powerful. Number 8 in our last, create habits around planning. I know it sounds funny, but like you need to plan when you're actually going to plan, or else you're never actually going to do it, right? For a long time, I had every Friday morning, I planned out my next week. I planned out my content. I planned out my habits. I planned out my workouts. I planned out what I needed to do for my business, okay? Plan your planning. You know, I always say this, but if you don't allocate time, it's never going to get done. So you need to create an actual habit to plan. I feel like a lot of people are like, every Sunday, I want to plan. That's great if you want to do that. But if you want to have a casual, chill Sunday where you're not thinking about work, you're not thinking about habit, you're not thinking about anything, then have a little 5 to 10 minute coffee date with yourself every single Friday morning and plan your whole entire next week. That being said too, it's not just about planning weekly. It's really important that you set monthly or quarterly check-ins with yourself so you can be like, okay, am I on track with my goals? Am I not on track with my goals? Do I need to adjust anything? Do I need to start, stop, or continue any habits? Again, it's really helpful to be able to have those check-ins with yourselves. Me and my boyfriend actually are going to start doing this. We used to do this and we're really good about it, but something that I want to take into the new year is having a not only relationship check-in, but a goals check-in. Because if your partner is someone who's also very goal-oriented, it's also really helpful to have your partner also check in with you and hold you accountable. Also, with these monthly and quarterly check-ins, whatever it is that you want to do, continue to assess your goals. Is this aligned authentically? Do I need to adjust this a bit? There is no shame in adjusting it if you don't feel like something's in alignment. That is the most important piece that I'm going to keep probably talking about on every single episode, is becoming aligned authentically, okay? It just makes reaching your goals 1,000 times easier. When you make sure your goals are authentically for you, when you become a girl who sticks to her word, when you use emotions and outcomes, when you set your core values, when you create your goals, when you use mindset tools, when you plan everything out and create habits around planning, there is literally no way you won't stick to your New Year's resolutions and your New Year's goals, okay? I know this sounds like a lot, and if you're like, whoa, 8 things? That's a lot. What I really want you to just take from this is make sure your goals are authentically in alignment with you and where you want to go, and take a few of these tools. You don't have to do every single one, but take the tool that you're like, oof, I think that's something that would really help me. Take 1 or 2 of these tools and implement them. Maybe it is just creating your goals and then setting monthly check-ins with yourself or your partner to ensure that you're on track, okay? You don't have to take all of these things. I really just wanted to give you all of the knowledge that's in my brain and give as much of it to you as possible, because I know you're going to crush this year. I'm going to crush this year. We're going to do it together. And I'm just so excited to hear all of your successes for 2026. Also, I'd love to hear what your New Year's goals are. Share it with me. DM me on Instagram at Ashley Robots. I really, truly love connecting with you guys. When you message me, it just makes my whole entire day. So please don't be afraid to reach out to me, ask any questions, share your goals with me. Let's do this together. Okay, my loves, thank you so much for being here. I absolutely love being on your screen or in your ear. Don't forget to subscribe to the It Girl Mindset if you are not already. And any reviews and ratings would mean the absolute world to me. Okay, my loves, I love you so much, and I will see you in the next episode. Mwah.